What's up, everybody? Welcome to Daily Refinement. This is eBay Mastermind day number 12. Appreciate you guys all stopping by. We are going to go over Chad's video because Chad actually posted himself photographing and listing, and we're going to actually watch that video. I don't know, is there any listing in it, or is it just the photography part?
It's just photos. And it's long, so obviously if you just want to scrub or whatever.
No, it's all good. Let's get into it. We'll start with this, and then we'll continue our conversation where it takes us. All right, everyone. Morning. Let's see. Hold on. All right, you can hear me. Let's do this. First off, you need a belt. Just kidding. All right,
Yeah, the white.
Okay, this is awesome because definitely putting the hanger in from the bottom is already a nice pro tip. One thing, mine has a little bit of a steeper vertical. I think might hold it in place a little bit better, but I like using the hanger, and using it on top is nice because you don't need another apparatus to hold it in place. So this is all very good so far.
Yeah, I'm actually switching this weekend to I'm moving that to a place where I can get it more flat because I'm tired of using the hangers.
Yeah. And then this material looks like a fuzzy carpet of some kind. What's the material?
It's the Sherpa. It's white Sherpa.
Okay, sounds good.
I copied you. I was in like Joanne's Fabric trying to find your video with terrible internet. I'm like, where's that video of Chris?
Sherpa's nice. I still have a couple bolts of it. Let's see.
It holds everything but this crazy rayon well.
So you also have lighting like above and sort of at waist level, which is nice because the bottom part of the garment's not going to be dimmer than the top part.
Yeah, this is where the struggle begins because this rayon wouldn't stay still when we're trying to get the right measurement.
Yep. That's exactly how, are you left-handed?
Yes, I'm left-handed. Well, I'm ambidextrous. It depends on what I'm doing.
I got you. Because I do it the opposite way for holding the ruler. I hold it with my left hand. But that's the same strategy. You can get one of those things that helps you fold, like a clothing folder.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
Because here I like fold, and I'm really like I'll fold this shirt, and then I'm like, no, it don't look right in the package, and I'll re-fold it because I'm like,
that's totally fine. Because like the let's see. Let's go to the bagging the next one because it's
So I'm at like 3 minutes, like 2.5 to 3 minutes, and I'm just like, this has got to speed up somehow.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I like doing the so you don't take a picture of the number?
Yeah, I do at the end here, right before I throw it in the bag.
Oh, I see.
Which just kind of come back to bite me at some time because it's like my 13th picture.
Yep. Oh, I see.
That's me checking last minute for any more holes that I missed. I hold it up, the light will come through, and I can see the holes real easy.
So how do you know if there's a defect?
Well, I process everything like beforehand and wash it or OxyClean if I need to. Sometimes on something like this, like a single stitch vintage tee, if I find something, I'm just like, I'll just note it. Like that pin I have in my hand, I kind of will point it at the defect and kind of take a far away picture to get it in perspective. There I'm taking a picture of the single stitch.
Yeah, you're definitely ambidextrous because you're using both hands to do things.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll have to do that. It's really not an issue. The vertical is what makes it an issue. If it was a little more flat, I could switch back and forth.
Got you. So I use the flip method too, and I do think it might be faster with a hanger because of the flipping.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna have to like relearn some stuff when I go to a more flat lay. So, but I think it'll be better, especially with jeans. Like trying to take the inner tag pictures of the jeans, just being able to have it lay flat and just kind of open it and do all that instead of it, you know, having it vertical and trying to hold the pin and all that mess.
It's not that slow. I mean, it takes me 16 minutes to do 10. So, wait, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find the. There's a
So
couple.
it took me almost double to do 8.
Let's see. So I guess because I can fold it against here, so I don't have to use the table. I can reach the sticker normally without having to move it all. And then I can I don't flip the bag open with air. And I like the zip top bags as it is faster because this part only takes me. And another reason why I like selling pants is they're easier to fold.
True.
So
Yeah.
this took, let's see, this is, hold on, let me count. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. It only takes 8 seconds to put it in the bag. So that's 5 to 8 seconds to put it in the bag. I guess all these little things do add up because I feel like my process is still very slow at 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds each. And you're at around like 200
2.5. Yeah. Like, well, 2.5 to 3 minutes.
So that's like, and a lot of it, there are more photos with jeans. But I think that also the way that you do it, you could probably ask $1 or $2 more because it's a nicer presentation. So,
and that's where I struggle.
That it's that slow.
Okay, because I tend to get someone interested and I like immediately send them like a 50% off offer because I'm like, I just want to move it. So that's probably where I need help.
In that scenario, then you might spend a little less time staging it. But again, it depends on the here. Let me look at I think, yeah, just setting it all up so that they're all the same right in a row. Let me see if I can find my other one. It's so hard to search my own videos. I now know people like they can't find anything that I've showed people how to do. Let's see.
Thank everyone else in the call for bearing through this.
No, this is like everyone should love this, hopefully.
I'm sure it's riveting. A 25-minute video of somebody listing t-shirts.
Let's see. Oops. Okay. Here we go. This is better. Okay. So, this is me redoing planning it all out and posting the pictures in real time. So you can see I think this looks fine as far as staging. But as far as I already have the same exact order every single time. I think that makes it way faster because I don't have to think about it. And then I would say, yeah, it never takes longer than 90 seconds. So that's kind of maybe the way to go. I would say that I think shirts are slightly faster, but 1.5 minutes is fast enough because there's so many measurement photos with jeans. And then laying everything perfectly. I think clothing is one of the harder categories to photograph. The harder part with hard goods is just making sure the lighting is good. But I think you can just use a light box if you're using if you're selling hard goods. So the custom SKU is within reach. I put it on. Also, the lanyard with the phone is on, that's around my neck makes it easier. I don't have to set the phone down.
So I have a question on that because I want to get one of those. How is there a way to set your phone like to where it won't? Because one of my big things is I'll hit it and I'll go to take a picture. I'm like, oh, I'm in slow motion video mode. What did I do?
You can't.
Yeah.
Not that,
Okay.
not that I know of.
Okay. For iPhone. Yeah.
For an iPhone. So I just bought one of every case and then I returned the ones that didn't work. Because you don't know, like everyone's phone's a different size and you hold it a little bit differently. So just gotta make sure like it's all needs to fit whatever you like doing. So all my photographers use different ways of holding it, just whatever is comfortable. So I recommend buying one of every kind of case and then testing out what works best for you. But yeah, I noticed in your video, the main thing is how much you move around.
Yep. I
And
agree.
if you can just set it up so you're not like not moving your feet at all, that obviously that's the best. And I noticed when I'm filming it, I'm always adjusting and it just takes a little bit of practice to dial it in. And then once you dial it in, you can have somebody else help you and do the identical process. And they'll actually what you want them to do is take your process and then build upon it. So it's even better for them. Because height is going to be different. And so David, the video is I want everyone to send in videos of them doing their process so we can just watch it and look at the different adjustments because there's not a big, we all essentially do the same thing. Less movement is better. So if you can somehow stay in the same place, reach everything within the same place, take all your photos in a row, don't set your phone down, either use something that attaches it to your wrist. Some people use a little wrist holder for their phone, or something that you can set down with a lanyard. It's a big difference. There's also a button up device where it helps you button if you have arthritis or if you button a lot of things, and that is not faster but easier. Sorry to hear about that, David, but definitely everyone film your process because you can just figure out how to streamline it because 90 seconds is fast enough. Actually, to be honest, your pace is not like debilitatingly slow either. You can still get your listings up if it takes an extra 10 minutes. Sam says he just photographed a bunch of button ups. I don't, or button downs. I don't. Do you guys call it button down or button up or button front? I don't use I have one. I think I have 3 of those little button helper things, but I never use it. It's slower than just doing it with your hand. Plus, then you can confirm if it's men's or women's. But yeah, as far as I think with hard goods, it's much easier because it's just 8 different angles in a light box. Just making sure that you have the labels right next to you. Let's see.
And way less item specifics.
Way less item specifics. It's like some toys have 2 item specifics. It's like crazy how few things you need. And sometimes those 2 item specifics that you're looking for are on it. Like it says the date and the company on it. So then with those 2 and Google image, you can figure out what it is instantly, the exact one versus clothing. Finding the exact one is a pain in the ass, and I don't recommend people do that. Let's see. So I think that is the key for, let me see if I have that. Hold on. Yeah, I'll show you guys. Essentially, because eventually, if you guys want to hire someone to help you, I just have it written out. So like right here out to the side of the photo box. So here's the photo box. When you're standing here, you can see the order of the pictures that I have. So I have like what pictures to take, and then I have what to take pictures of. So brand, size, content, material content, the custom SKU, sleeve detail, hem detail, pockets, flaws, tags, logos. So I have that written down here so they can literally look over and see all the things they might need to photograph. And even if you've been doing it for a while, it's nice to just look over and see what the things are that you're supposed to do, and it makes it easier to hire. And the difference between, like, right now, I just need like Hannah to be patient and figure out her process, because she's only one person away from replacing her income. Worker wise, you need the supply, but you only need one worker to make 6 figures. And you can get by until you figure out how to get, anyone can get by on 100K a year, and then you can figure out how to scale from there once you have that. So Mary uses a yardstick. You have a soft tape measure. Yeah, the yardstick is stiff, and I recommend, like, my I use my thumb on top and hold it like this. And the only downside to the yardstick is you can't take a picture of the whole thing, because your finger would get in the way. Like, and on a vertical flat lay, it doesn't. Actually, you can set it up so there are magnets or Velcro, and it'll stick on it in place, so you can take a step back and take that full picture. I've seen some really cool magnet setups that people do, and that would be the fastest, because you could just stick it. Velcro's a little slower because you have to peel it off. So a magnet a little bit quicker. You just bought the reseller ruler. Nice. Yep, that's Tech's product, and he makes them on his porch. So that's a really cool product that you can get that helps with photograph or for measurements. Let's see. But once you have all your processes written down, and the key is somebody you don't know coming in and being able to do it their first try. That's how clean it needs to be. How does he have time to make them? I mean, he does 200, like, okay, this is the thing. This is the main thing. If you guys are in the mentorship and you just hang out with him for a year, your income will go up 6 figures, because no one does that. He has like 12 businesses, like 100 employees, never miss his son's baseball game. He has a 6-figure hobby that he does on the patio, selling those rulers. 250 items a day, has a brick and mortar, most supply, has no shortcuts, no macros, nothing. He just does everything manually, answers every single question by himself, answers every single offer by himself. Our Facebook group has 2,000 people in it, and there's like 300 questions a day. He answers every single question, and he answers my texts.
That's
so
insane.
I mean, like, he's
absolutely insane.
Go ahead.
That's insane how he manages to do that.
It's insane. He does sleep a little bit, but like for a while there, he was sleeping too much and it was messing him up. So now he's back to like 7 hours. But he was trying to sleep more, but he just sets things up one time and then never changes it. That's the key. We record the podcast. Tomorrow will be our 87th episode in a row. We've never missed an episode. The eBay thing I learned from him, because right now we're talking about writing down all the different steps. And when we first started, my process was 60 steps longer. So all those little things that Chad is doing, like stepping to the left, stepping to the right, this thing is over here, the bag, flipping the bag open before you put it in. He when I was taking forever to put it into the bag, he made a video of him doing it in like 4 seconds. You can just think about all the different pieces. It takes you a minute, it takes him 4 seconds. He does the equivalent of 1 year's work every 6 days. That's how much different it is than a normal person. So like, just if you, I mean, I'm sure it should cost like a lot of money just to see how he organizes his day. There's no, he doesn't even have anything written down. It's just exactly what you need to do and nothing more.
I would call that a process of Kaizen.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is.
How you can get better all the time. And if you're starting to time how fast you're putting things in a bag and refining that, you're getting down to the real micro details there, which I guess is where we all need to be, you know.
But here's the thing. We've been doing it for 87 weeks. He hasn't made one change. it was the fastest when he started, and he just kept it the same way and didn't mess with it. And what a lot of people do, including me, is it starts to work and then you change it. You don't have to change it as long as it's effectively like here's another part that's interesting. A lot of people complain about his photos, but all of his photos are the same color. So like that's actually pretty hard. In order to take pictures where all of them are the same, like the close-up ones are not blown out, it requires like a bigger room. You need a bigger room and a little bit like way more light, and it needs to be way softer in order to do that. And then he uses a camera and not a phone. That makes a big difference too, because the iPhone does all these fancy things to make things more pretty, and it's not accurate. So everything that he does is set up a certain way, and it stays that way. And essentially, his 250 item a day eBay store, there's 3 people that work there. Actually, there's 2 people who list it and 1 person that ships. But think about that. 250 sales a day normally takes a team of 20. Because he's in the top like couple hundred stores. He's in the top 500 on eBay with 3 people. He's like ahead of Reebok, who has 200 people. Because it's just it's pretty insane how efficient it is, because you can just copy most of what he does and you'll be making 6 figures because it's so clean. But yeah, that process that he has, he should definitely be a CEO because his decision-making skills are unreal. He's not doing Kaizen. He thinks about it before he does something, does it once, and then never changes it. Kaizen is what I do, where I'm constantly trying to make it better. He doesn't do that. He'll just set it up and then not change it. He'll try to. Go ahead.
If you've ever seen a movie called The Founder, have you ever seen that about the?
I have. Yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting how they're constantly refining and
yeah,
how to make more burgers and over till they get the system down, which is McDonald's obviously, as we all know it today. That's kind of the approach I always think's best to take. But he seems as if he starts off with a perfect system from the beginning and just never changes it.
Yep. Because I think most people look to add things when they are trying to improve their process, and he subtracts things until it's just the basic thing. So as an example, there's a salad shop in the US called Sweet Greens, and they make like 200 salads a day, and that's their business model. And every single store loses $100,000 a year. They're not profitable. 20 people work there to make 200 salads, but he's like, you and I could bust out 200 salads. It doesn't need 20 people. All of that is like extra processes that people are made up, or they're like, they want to offer this one ingredient that doesn't make that much of a difference over whether or not somebody buys the salad or not. But it adds, like, it needs an additional person, an additional station, an additional ordering process, more management, more frills. His brick and mortar doesn't even have bags because he doesn't want to order bags. People, it's cash and carry. They go in, order it, and then just carry it to their car. And like that sounds insignificant, but it's not. If you're going to do all these businesses, you can't have extra steps anywhere. So that is hard for me because we're all programmed to, okay, what is this person doing? And I'll do that. But it's, you're doing all these extra steps that he's not. That's the difference. He's literally only doing the basics. His photography process is 60 seconds, Chad. It's 30 seconds faster than mine because there's no hanger part. It's literally flat on the ground. There's no hanger and there's no folding. There's no bag. There's no skew. So if you subtract all that stuff out of it, it ends up being only 60 seconds and not 90. And that's on the high end.
I have a question about that because I was thinking about tech and like how he puts everything on hangers, right? Everything's hung up.
Yep.
Where does that fall in the process? But if he's taking it flat lay, who hangs it? Him?
So once it's all, and there's a video in the group of his exact process, but essentially he does flat lay on the ground, right? And it goes from, so I'll show you. So essentially the pile gets put right here, right? So then the person comes down, they grab the item, they lay it flat in front of them. They take the pictures like, it's like waist high where they take the picture with the camera. They all use wrist wrist holders. So they take the picture, they go down, they set the reseller ruler down on top of it, and they take a big picture and then the two little pictures. You guys can look at his eBay store if you want to see the photo sequence. Then the person bends over, flips it over, comes back, takes the back pictures, and then moves it to the right. There's actually no foot movement at all. So really, really fast from there. Then when the pile on the right is all the way full, they just grab it like that, and then they transport it. I think when he was doing it at home, he would then take it to the warehouse right there. But then that goes into the warehouse and they put it onto the hanger when they put it on the rack.
And then how do they find it when it's sold? Because he's got thousands and thousands.
So that, okay, this is gonna sound crazy. It's color coordinated. It's color and date coordinated. So they look at the picture, they roll around with the cart of the orders, and it's based on date and color, and they just go straight to it and pick it. And it doesn't sound like, actually, you probably have to watch that video several times before it starts to make sense, because that's not natural to me how it works. But not having to bag anything, no SKUs is faster, but you need almost exactly 8 times more space. It takes up a ton of space to do it that way on the rack. So that's just something that is part of it. It does take more space to do it his way, but space ends up being one of the cheaper parts of your resale business. So it's most people are super worried about their storage space cost, etc., but that's not expensive. The expensive part is how much longer it takes you to do things. Like the 30 seconds for me times 20, I was listing, I don't know, 50,000 items a year. That's 25,000 seconds. So that's it took me 17 days longer to do it than him in just 1 year. That's a lot. But I don't know. It's kind of insane, the parts when you think about lease. That's why I switched everything to wired. I don't have anything that requires any batteries in my shop. And I got rid of my fancy monitor system and I just use the MacBook and the trackpad because it never breaks. I don't have to plug anything in. I can just immediately start working. It's not ergonomically correct. I think if you plugged it into a monitor, that would be okay. But that just requires a little more maintenance. You've got to have the monitor, the plugging it in, the keyboard and mouse have to be hooked up. So it's just, it is interesting thinking about the least steps and no more. And that kind of mentality is weird because his eBay business only cost $200 to set up. Right? There's no cost. When I first met him, he wasn't even using a light kit. It was just the light from the window. Like there was no, because it doesn't matter. You don't need world-class photos to sell a used item. It actually kind of looks silly because I was doing white background and it was not necessary. In fact, it made my items look probably fake and it increased returns. So David is currently ironing every item. You can. We lay the items flat the day before and most of the wrinkles get out. And we have a steamer right next to the photo station if we want to steam something, but steaming is faster than ironing also.
That's where that Sherpa material really helps because today I had a couple of wrinkled teeth and I just like press them and they stay.
Yeah. So Sherpa is a great material.
Yeah, I did. I just made my setup not that long ago, and off Amazon, I ordered velvet blackout curtains. So that velvet material is like, it's almost like Velcro. Like I can put like a silk shirt on there and it stays. So that velvet, I can have it like a lot more flat than I could if it was, something else. That velvet is really helpful and they're super cheap on Amazon. So.
Yep. I recommend the Jiffy, but if you can get away from steaming your clothing, that will help a lot. If it's mainly women's, you may want to steam it. But I like flat lay because it shows all the material, easier for someone to make a decision. Also, when you have, I think that, like, because today we're trying to learn some lessons from Tech because he's essentially the greatest reseller ever, in my opinion. Because he does so much stuff, he doesn't really have that much time. So I think he really does take his time and think about something before he starts it, because he does not have time to go back and fix it. So he's like, okay, how can we do this one time and set it up and do it? So like our podcast, he's like, okay, what day of the week do we want to do? Let's just do it forever at the same until one of us dies. Right. So you just set it up and it just keeps going. And I think that it's easier mentally, because a lot of people are like, sometimes I list at this time, sometimes this gets in the way. He doesn't have any sometimes. Everything is always do it this way. Never misses a baseball game, never misses whatever he does with his wife. And okay, another thing that's interesting is that he's constantly interrupted. It's not like no one has like their whole day and no one bothers them. That doesn't exist. He just gets right back to work after he gets distracted. So that's also like a huge productivity tip, is don't try to eliminate all distractions, because that's impossible. Just when it happens, deal with it, go back. Maybe the David Allen getting things done rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, just handle it and then go back. Don't move it to the end of the day or later. Yeah, light gray is fantastic. The IKEA material is awesome. And the Sherpa fabric you can get at Joann's, and it's on my blog, dailyrefinement.com. You can just search for Joanne and it'll pop up on the first page which one I got. And you can go and look at all the different materials, but light gray acts as a gray card. That's why I picked gray. It's easier to match the color accuracy. Off-white and light gray, I think, are the best for matching the color. Yeah, low cost, no cost, and not moving, reducing the movement transportation cost of different items is something that it really is massive. So then last thought, if you guys want to nerd out on this, you can look up Paul Akers. And he's just like an older version of Tech. And he's like, I don't know, maybe 20 years older than Tech, but he has done the same thing. And he has a company, they do 60 million a year. And everything is like that. Low cost, no cost, they build everything. And he's like, oh, I want to drive to work faster. So he went to racing school. He's like, oh, flying takes too long at the airport. So he learned how to fly and just flies himself to meetings. So, I mean, like you can optimize everything to the least amount of steps. And that's the part that is so weird, because everyone feels like you add things to make it faster, when you should if you just eliminate that step completely, that's how you do a year's work in 6 days. Like he lists an Anchor stores 3,000 items. They do that every 6 days. That's how insane the volume is. So there can't really be any errors, because otherwise the whole thing would explode. Imagine 1% errors is 30 errors a week. That's too much. You would go out of business. Hannah, what's up?
So how did Tech, because we were talking yesterday about like suppliers and how,
yep.
In order to be most efficient with the least amount of time,
yep.
Like I was saying, I don't have enough time to go to Goodwill every day for 5 hours to get the amount of stuff that I need.
Yep.
So how long did it take you or Tech to establish those supply lines?
So it took me a year of going to the same stalls every single Sunday at the flea market to get that hookup. And I think that there are a lot of people who are willing to buy for people. You just need to come up. It takes us however long it takes for you to come up with a list of stuff that people can get you that they can still make money on. That's how long it takes. So for some people in the group, it might be fast. There's already somebody here, let me see if I can find it. me see. Okay, here we go. So this guy emailed me and said, Chris, these are the brands that I want to buy. Okay. Etro, Peter Millar, Theory, Buckman. So he made this list. It took him, I don't know how long. These are the brands that he is willing to pay no matter what it is. Right. So with this list, I could become a buyer for him because I know what he is selling. Now, and see how it's there's a lot more men's brands than women's brands because that's his niche. He wants to do that. So with this list, you can start calling around to find suppliers of these specific brands. It will only take you a month once you know exactly what products you're looking for to find people who can help you. So for the first 10 years of Tech's career, he did thrifting and he went to 49 stores a week. So that's a lot. So Stephanie, you know how your one goodwill is dried up? He would never let that be an issue because he went to 49 different stores. So east, west, north, south, all the different routes combed, figured out. He knew which ones would take longer to replenish. But that's if Hannah decided to quit her job and go all in, then she might have a long thrift route like that to get enough inventory to make sure the machine can keep going in the beginning. But once you have a list of the exact brand you're looking for, also, from my experience, these brands are much harder to list. Most of them, like Zegna or Brioni or any of these more dressier brands, they require a different type of listing. Like this is Tech sells this stuff, but not really because it takes a lot more work. The pictures have to be better.
Right. I was thinking about that when you were talking about, like coming up with a list, coming up with a want ad.
Yep.
And I was talking to emailing with Ashley because she was saying that she was willing to do some buying for people, and I was putting together an email to respond to her. And I was thinking I don't have any interest in like the super upscale brands. Like I basically don't want anything where there's more than like a 2% chance that it's fake.
Yeah, that's right.
Because like that's not worth it. Like I posted one pair when I was first starting. I think it was my second listing ever. It was a pair of Tory Burch flip-flops that I found at Goodwill.
Yep.
They were really good fakes, but they were fake. And like I got a ding on my Poshmark and my eBay for them. And I was like, I'm never doing an upscale brand ever again.
Yeah, it's even the Real got sued by Chanel saying you can't authenticate Chanel. Only Chanel can authenticate Chanel. So even if you have somebody coming over and you go to Chanel and get it cleaned, because they're supposed to confiscate any fake items if we take it in for cleaning, you still can't say it's authentic unless you are them. So avoiding those brands, like a 2% would be too high for Tech. He sells essentially like Tommy Bahama, Nike, like the North Face, but only used, Patagonia. Like if you go to REI or the mall, that's the only brands that he sells, no high end, to avoid that. And also hard to find Tory Burch in volume. You're gonna find 3 of them at the bins all day. It's not that easy to find. So this brand list right here is very difficult to pull only these brands, and these women's brands also very difficult.
I was gonna say most of those, like I'm just looking at that list, like I don't know that I've ever seen any of those at a thrift store.
It's harder. Yeah, you would have to shop at the bins to find it. And like I have that. Like it's funny that he made that list like right next to me. This whole bin right here is only those brands on that list. And I have tons of it because sometimes I didn't list it on eBay because it took a little bit more work than I didn't want. It's like it requires a little bit more detail, so it's almost like I have to list those ones. I could pay a worker to list Nike, but if I'm listing, I don't know how to pronounce this, but a gold or mother, I listed 100% of those myself. Frame, Madewell, and Everlane are a little bit lower. But like these, a golden mother, you're going to be asking minimum $50. So it's almost like you take your time and list those. But that again, that's not designer. That's just high-end Nordstrom. The designer stuff is where you can kind of get into trouble. It takes longer. You need better pictures and more credibility. And but yeah, once you have the list, you can call around. And I think it will take you less than 30 days to find a supplier if you know exactly what you want, Chen.
Yeah. So like in that kind of same, in that ballpark of trying to figure out what brand you're going to sell and, oh, I don't want to get, dings on my account and all that stuff. Tell me if I'm like way off here, because what I've been doing, I've really kind of settled in. I started doing that too, like trying to find brand, like high name brands, or just when I find cool stuff like that. And I really am finding this peace of mind, one, sourcing and selling just chill clothes, t-shirts, jeans, sweatshirts, like stuff that everybody pretty much wears. Usually you don't get many returns, even if it's a little bit bigger sweatshirt, it's like, oh, it's cool, it's a little bigger. If there's holes in it, it makes it cooler sometimes. Stained vintage tees, people want that more. But the profit margin is lower, obviously. And you're saying, and I kind of look at, I totally troll tech store, and I look at what he's selling. I'm like, I'm selling the same stuff, but he's selling way more. So I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to model that. I'm just like, okay, let me sell my 3 a day or 5 a day at $8 profit, and eventually get that process down, and then just double it and then double it and double it.
So you ready to have your mind blown?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Go ahead.
The profit margin is actually not low. The profit margin is very high. The profit per item is low.
Mm-hmm.
That's
true,
why.
True. Yeah.
That's why nobody does it, because it's a lot of work. You have to list a ton of items to make any money, but the margins are insane. Like doubling your money when you spend $3 is not very
true.
hard.
Yeah, and I misspoke. I meant that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that is an interesting way to look at it, because I didn't think about that either. So the opposite of that, which is what people actually want, which is like sell less items and more profit per item. People are too greedy in how much margin they want. So as an example, spending 50 to make 10, way easier than spending 1 to make 10. But it's a really expensive. It's $50 average cost to make your $10 versus thrifting. Everyone in this group can find something under $10 that they make $10 profit, but then you have to go get it. So the more willing you are to pay, I'm willing to pay 100 to make 10. It needs to arrive ready to list. And I'll do that all day. And there needs to be more than one. But if I have to do all the work, like describe it, there's a flaw on the right thigh, there's some distressing on the cuff, then it better cost 50 cents, because there's so much work that goes into it. So
and it does for me. Like my ASP is like $21.
Yep.
And I usually pay about $2 to $3 an item, including jeans and sweatshirts and stuff. So I'm like, I feel like, and I'm doing it on a low scale. So I'm like, I feel like, okay, when I'm ready to pull the trigger and ramp up, it should just, extrapolate those numbers. I think, I don't know.
Yeah. Ashley's making a good point in the chat too, that designer items require more pictures usually for authentication. That's why if you're going to sell handbags at the Louis Vuitton level or higher, it's recommended you have 40 or more photos. That's a lot. But if you want to sell something with an average of $1,200 ASP, then people are going to wonder, is this real? Is it authentic? So every single angle, every single stitch, every single marking that might make it real, you need a picture of and a close-up so people can authenticate and legit check you. And but the Tory Burch with 2 photos, most likely fake, or the person doesn't know. And that doesn't really instill a lot of buyer confidence. So when you're selling used Adidas, you don't need that, because it's not super valuable. And people, if there's 3 stripes on it, it's probably not fake. That's good enough. It's close enough for what the brand's trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's the list of what you buy really helps with sourcing big time, because people can start looking out for you. So if you go to the same flea market with the same list, as long as it's mall brand, people can find it for you. If it's high-end Nordstrom or Bloomingdale's, no one can find it for you. It's too hard. You can find a few, but you won't be able to find enough to make a living.
So are you recommending that the stuff on the list, so I was thinking about it and I was like, well, like I sell a lot of like Polo Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
It's like one of my go-tos. But it can be a little bit hard to tell. I usually only sell the vintage. I don't sell the new because it's much more likely to be fake.
Yep.
You
can the new stuff is likely to be fake, but depending on the price point, it's okay. I'm recommending everyone in the group sell Ralph Lauren or equivalent only.
Right.
Just like that thing that's $50 to $100 new, right? And you're buying it for 10 or less and selling for around 20.
Right. So my question is, because well, I guess maybe I need to change that. I was going to say, like, if I'm only looking for the older vintagey stuff,
yeah,
like vintage, it's, that how do I find someone who can do that analysis for me? Because that's a little bit more than just like, look at the tag. If it says this, purchase it.
That's hard because Ralph Lauren, I mean, actually, it's not too hard. You could just look up tag guides. Like I was just talking to Tech before this con, asking him about all these tag guides that people have been sending me. And that's like 99% of the clothing game is learning the tags. So
right, that's what I'm saying. And like there's a lot. Like Polo Ralph Lauren, I think has seven different tags.
Yeah, it's really hard. So that's
like a skill. That's like a skill set. That's not, I can't just like hire Joe Schmo off the street and he'll like be able to like learn that in a week.
No, it was going to take some time. And also that is what made me, that greatly humbled me. When we started the group and people could tell you what year tags were, that's insane to me. Like a Screen Stars tag, like that was one of the first ones that Chad showed. Or I mean, not the first one, but it was that music tee. There's like a different tag every year and people know all of them. So, I mean, people, that knowledge is insane and that part will take longer, but that's literally all of it. To the point where like Tech can recognize clothing that has no tag on it by the material tag. Like that's pretty hard. So, I mean, that's something that takes time. And that's really the secret between fast sell through and regular sell through is that tag knowledge.
So is the solution just, because you're saying like that's a skill set, that's like a chunk of information that not everybody has that can be difficult. So is the solution to just like hire someone and wait for them to be trained, or just like hire someone and accept that they're best because they're probably not going to figure it out?
The solution is buy all Ralph Lauren from that person and you sort.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to do that analyzing the deal as it comes in. Because it's going to take too long. It won't be unless they're an expert, which they're not going to be.
Right.
Yeah. Angela, what's up?
Okay, so going back to the pictures, like my average selling price is a little bit higher. I average about like 180, 185 with like cost of goods around 35. So with me, I was relying on a lot of stock photos, and then I was relying on few images. So moving forward, I don't want to do that, of course. I've never really had returns though, or anybody question. I think I've sold so many things that I don't get questioned on like whether it's authentic or not. Like I rarely get returns, but my thing moving forward to make my listings optimal, how many pictures would you recommend? Like being that like my store is a little bit maybe more higher end, like, cause I don't want to do the stock, cause I know you can get in trouble with stock photos, right? So I don't want to do that anymore.
I would go 12 photos.
12 photos, okay.
And like, let me give you an example. Here's two stores that they ask all the money. They want basically top dollar for every single item. And both of these stores have over $100 ASP. Of course, not everything they sell is over 100, but the presentation looks like this. This is like a retail store. It's really nice. They even have these hand tags with the brand. And that's going to make it look like, and they also do the dark background with the light item. Because I mean, these photos are insane. It's really hard to take photos like this, like the detail, like the detail of the button. Okay, but this is how you average over $100 an item, is this kind of presentation for your store. I would recommend all 12 photos because he even does it inside out so you can see the lining.
Okay.
So believe it or not, the person that takes these photos for my friend Matt gets paid minimum wage. He's just so clear on what the photos look like. And the person takes these photos for him, and it takes 10 minutes per item. So we're talking about earlier, right? Because Chad was at 2 or 3 minutes per item, right?
I'm killing that, dude.
But
Are those photoshopped?
they're Photoshopped too.
Yeah, like mine takes about like 10 minutes, probably about 10 to 15 minutes when I actually do the photos.
Yeah.
And so would you say like, I guess the higher price your store is, the more detail you almost have to be?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because like, that's really hard. Look at the pattern. Like when you're going to this level of these pictures are insane. Like look at this is a detail of the cuff. I mean, that's like really detailed, but if you want all the money, then you can ask all the money. And I think, let's see. Okay, this store does have returns, but a lot of these higher end stores, they don't offer returns. No returns.
Yeah, I don't offer, and I was going to ask that, like, I don't offer returns, but I know a lot of people on the panel, they do. And I know that before when we were talking about like, I guess optimal listings, like to offer those returns, but would you say it just depends on your like your business kind of model?
It depends if you want all the customers or just some customers.
Okay. Okay.
My wife won't buy anything that doesn't have free returns. And there's a lot of people who shop like that. But she doesn't need free shipping.
Okay.
She's like, if I buy it and I don't like it, then I don't really want the seller to pay shipping both ways. But if I don't like it, I want to be able to return it. So there's something interesting based on that. There's different buyer mentalities. But if you want all the customers is free shipping, free returns. We don't recommend that because that's expensive, and you don't need all of the customers. You only need a few. But the more rules you have, the less customers. You can put no returns, but it does turn many customers off. I don't recommend no returns, but 30-day, at the minimum, do 30-day buyer pays returns.
Okay.
That's like the minimum, and then you're not really losing any money. But for you, I definitely recommend that ultra, because you don't need that many items. You only need 100 items at $100 for 10,000 gross. That's only 3 items a day. So at 10 minutes a photo, that's only half an hour still. So it just, the time wise, you've got to think about it. Is it worth 10 minutes per photo? Right? Because Chad has the attention to detail to do that. It just takes way more time. You have to make sure every single thing is perfectly parallel, straight, at the Photoshop every picture. It requires a little bit, most photography like that is strobe lighting. So it's the same amount of light every time, which takes more time to set up that kind of a setup. But that's how you ask for so much money. Like one more example of that is you do not need you don't need very fast sell-through to make a lot of money if your items are expensive. So this is Brian. He has 4,484 items in his store and an average sale price of over 100. So let's see, he's selling maybe 400 items a month. So that's like 11 or 12 a day, but he's doing probably 12, 15K a month. And his photos are also excellent, in my opinion. Like this is honestly very hard to photograph. This color black is hard to photograph. So, you know, this is like people who are super dedicated to their craft. They ask all the money. And this store has $1 million worth of stuff listed. So Hannah also lives in an area where she could do this model. It sucks, but it's definitely a 6-figure net model. And you have to live in an area where people dress fancy. So the shirt that there's, I really like this store. Wow, nice shirt. Let's see. Let's try and get this. Because he has some of these crazy $15,000, $10,000 items for clothing. So Angela, you could even 10x your store. Like here we got a Frank Sinatra, a suit made for Frank Sinatra.
How much? I'm buying it right now. Where is it?
I know, right? Frank Sinatra, that's cool.
How do you authenticate something like that?
I know, right? Let me just draw that in for you.
That's
You go to
insane.
Rick at Pawn Stars,
I know.
and he knows the guy.
See, like
pretty hard.
selling something like that would terrify me. I'd be too scared. I'd be too scared to sell it.
I know. It's but that's the, I mean, look at how many freaking measurements that is. That's a lot. That's 11 measurements for one item. That's a lot of detail. There's a lot. No, I just think like sometimes people complain about doing like there's people who will never make a listing this good. It's hard. It's a lot of work to get this, but you're asking $10,000. And he still charges for shipping. I love that. $10,000, you still got to pay $10 for shipping. I love it. Yeah, he's $15 minimum wage here in California. So I went thrifting with Matt, and it's pretty cool. So his goal is to go shopping for 10 hours and buy 10 pieces. Because he's like over $100 ASP. So that is, you know, so we went out sourcing for 10 hours, and I think he bought 12 or 13 pieces in one whole day here. He lives in Fresno, so he came up here, stayed at my place for a day, and we went shopping all day. And that guy is awesome. We're going through the racks, and he's like, wool, camel hair, like what? It's amazing. London, what's up?
Hey, yeah. So before the call like officially started, I said that I think I get to hire my first employee today.
Yep.
So currently I'm a sole proprietor. Do you think sorry, there's a truck driving by.
No worries.
Okay. So basically I have up to $600 to pay this new employee to see if it's going to work out before I have to do W-2 stuff, right? And like form an LLC.
You don't have to form an LLC. You can do it as you don't need that to do payroll if you go W-2.
Okay. Can you kind of, because I have a feeling this is going to work out.
Yep.
What would my next steps be like if I want to keep her on?
So I'm not legal counsel, but 1099 contractor is probably the way to go.
Okay.
You need to file 1099 after $600.
Okay.
So depending on where you live, the rules for contractor versus employee are usually set. So then if it's a contractor, you can't set their hours. Here.
Okay.
So you have to say like you can work between these hours and you pick which hours.
Got you.
If you provide all of the equipment, it looks more like an employee. So it can be a little bit fuzzy. So I would meet with a CPA. It will take no longer than 1 hour
Okay.
to set up a payroll service if you go W-2. I used the service Gusto to pay. They take out the taxes for you and submit them to the state, and then also issue them. What is that form called? The form that you get the first week of January. They issue that for you, and then you just have to make sure that it is legal in your state. But I would stick with 1099. Pay
Okay,
them the full amount, let them do their taxes.
awesome. I'll call my dude, get this
All you
handled.
do. And then that's the same for Hannah. Once you figure out your process, I would attempt to have somebody try it on one day, come in on a Saturday for 3 hours. That's actually, all of you could do that. Hire somebody for 3 hours on a Saturday. See what they do. I like the idea of listing all 100 items. I mean, on Saturday, do all 100 items and schedule the listing Sunday through Friday. And now you're free the rest of the week from listing. No more listing. Somebody helps you one day, you knock it all out. Don't use drafts if you have limited time. Just pay the 10 cents. And London, you have a follow-up question? Oh, you're good.
No, I was sitting there trying to figure out how to lower my hand.
All good. But yeah, hiring somebody for half a day is really useful. Even if they just follow you around for half an hour or for half a day and let you know, because like Chad's video was really enlightening, because there's the fact, like right now, Chad has a really good idea of what to do, because my process takes 90 seconds. His process takes 2 to 3 minutes, and those crazy photos take 10 minutes. But 100% Chad could take those photos in 10 minutes. No problem. A little bit more staging, little Photoshop. Not too difficult. And you can kind of tell. So this is continuous lighting. It looks a little different than the people who use, let's see, this is, yeah, this guy. Looks a little bit different. Like the colors on okay, this is continuous lighting, where it's somebody has a light kit, and this is strobe lighting where it pops. This photos, these are more accurate. Not that it makes a huge difference, but we're talking about selling expensive stuff. There's like a slight difference in the way the photos look. But in real life, you don't stand in front of things that are that color. So doesn't matter too much. Let's see. Hannah's saying sourcing takes the longest. Yeah. That's absolutely right. So everyone in the group is 2 people away from running a huge business. 1 person that buys for you, 1 person that photographs lists for you. Like Angela, I can list your type of items in 10 minutes an item, no problem. So if I came in for 8 hours on a Saturday for you, I could list 80 items for you. That's almost an entire month of work in one day. And they would all look perfect if you had all the setup for me, the right lighting kit, all the items ready to go. I didn't have to steam. All I had to do was photograph, put them away, and list for you. So then you need 1 person on the take somewhere bringing you the stuff. And that's how it is. So that's the ultimate hack. Is David still here? David left, but he was talking about why is tech so efficient, because he did all the work himself. So he knew exactly, he calls them keepers, exactly what to communicate to the buyer. And now he has an army of people bringing him keepers. That's how it works. And his calls on Tuesday nights. So if you guys want to just like make a fortune, you should just join the group, listen to his Tuesday night calls, listen to all 87 episodes of that, and you'll learn more about life than anything ever. It's really insane. He's been doing a lot. And he was a single dad back before when he was starting all this stuff, which is like makes it 1,000 times more difficult. So that is, you know, it's funny. His kid turned 18 the same year my daughter was born, and we're the same age. So he's already lived one lifetime before me. So I feel like I didn't grow up until now. He's been a grown up for 18 years already as a young parent, teenage parent. So maybe that's the secret too. You have a really difficult life when you're young, then and you make it through, then you can do anything. Because I can't imagine doing that, raising a kid by yourself, getting started. Like compare that to now, there's people that don't have those limitations and they have help. So it's like, and you guys have this group, you can essentially skip the first 10 years of pain and go straight to thinking right away. I need a list of things. Hannah can skip right to, okay, I need to become an expert in Ralph Lauren and just tell people, I only sell Ralph Lauren. There's plenty of people in the group that only sell Ralph Lauren. So if you only sold Ralph Lauren, you could teach somebody the tags in one day. If you knew all of them, you could just say, these are all early 2000s. These are all 2010 and newer. These are all fake. These are the giveaways. These are all the vintage pieces that are worth a lot. These are all the different Ralph Lauren shoots, chaps. You know, talk about all the different ones and what they're worth. And this is real polo. This is not. This is stuff that's from the outlet. This is stuff that's sold at the store. And I would sign up for the Polo Ralph Lauren outlet email. And it's really, really, really useful to go to the Ralph Lauren outlet. You will learn so much in one day about the different tags. And most of the stuff you thrift is under 10 years old. So don't need a ton of old knowledge. It helps, but not required to do this. So everyone have an awesome day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you guys start filming your process so we can all look at it. And before the mentorship is over, everybody needs to hire somebody for one weekend. And let me know how it goes. Hopefully they stare at you like, I'm sorry, let me back up. I don't want that. I want them to say, wow, your system is so easy to understand. Anybody can work here. That's the response that we're looking for.